Tell me to do a reminder if you have privilege of the floor.
Do that now. Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the December 17th regular meeting of the town board to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Present.
Councilmember Delarada.
Here.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
Councilmember Brennan.
Here.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Here. Everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'd like to respectfully acknowledge that Niskayuna is on the traditional lands of the Kanihihaka and the Mahikaniak peoples, past and present, and we honor with gratitude the land itself and the peoples who have stewarded this land through generations. We have a really full agenda tonight, and we're going to move a little bit out of order. We're going to start with the public hearing on our proposed changes to the town's yard waste code, and I'll ask the clerk to please call for the public hearing.
A public hearing on proposed changes to the town's yard waste code.
If anyone has any comments on the proposed changes, we ask that you come up now. They're sort of boring, so it's okay if nobody has any comments. Okay, that's great. Can we close public hearing? Okay, so then do I need a motion for that? Okay, so we're going to close the public hearing so that we can move on to some exciting news, and we're going to move very out of order because we're actually going to pull Resolution 2024-277, which is the resolution appointing a new sergeant, because we have awesome people here, and I don't want to keep you here all night, so I would love to bring that up as our next in line for our agenda. So,
A resolution appointing a sergeant in the Niskayuna Police Department.
great. All right, then, do we have a second?
Second.
Are there any comments, discussion? I would just like to say personally, I only knew Hashem a bit before I started here. My son and his son happened to be in the same grade, but in the short time that I've known him here, he's been an absolutely fantastic coworker. He's helped us in situations that he didn't have to help us with, IT-related situations. He's very smart. I've always had good interactions with him, and I have to say everyone else that I've spoken with has always had the same thing to say. So I'm very, very happy that that you're being promoted to sergeant, and I hope you stay with us for the rest of your career.
I'd like to also say I'm very excited for this promotion. I think Hashem, just his professionalism and his dedication and his leadership will lend itself just again to this role as well. So congratulations and thank you.
Also, I'd like to add that this is a chair of the Police and Public Safety for 8 years prior. Hashem has been an exceptional officer for the town of Niskayuna. He sets the example for any police officer in any organization. He's a person with integrity and a person that goes above and beyond the call of duty when asked, and we are so thankful to have him as a sergeant in the town of Niskayuna. And again, can't say enough good things about Officer Kafaga, now Sergeant Kafaga. Great job.
All right. Okay.
I'll echo the supervisor's comments about how helpful you are, not only in the police department, but to everybody here in town hall. Always going above and beyond to help everybody in this building. And as we learned earlier this year in the police awards ceremony, your investigative skills are incredible. And I think you're exactly the type of officer we want in a leadership position.
All right. Any further discussion? Then I will say all those in favor.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call. Do the roll call, please.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Well deserved, yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Yes.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
All right. The motion passes. Would you guys like to take some pictures at this time or? Oh, okay. All right. Do we have the microphone? Yeah, Joe has it. Okay.
Is it on? No. Nope.
It's just a resolution if you read it out of here. Oh, that's right. There she goes.
It's on. So it doesn't seem to take long, right? Okay. Is it on? Okay. All right, repeat after me. I, Hashem Kafaga, do solemnly swear
I, Hashem Kafaga, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Sergeant of the Town of Niskayuna
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of Sergeant of the Niskayuna Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Hey, congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah, it's good to.
Okay. I think we're still rolling. So even now, I've sort of gone back and forth, I think, like a lot of the past supervisors have, in trying to figure out the best place for public comment versus a sort of explanation of the things that are going on in either our committees or in the town in general. So I think rather than jump right into privilege of the floor, I'd love for our committees to give a brief overview. I'm going to give some information out that might be helpful for public comment. And then we'll move into privilege of the floor and then into the rest of our resolutions. So I am going to invite the Police and Public Safety Committee to make some comments now.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. The Police and Public Safety Committee met on December 5th. Under fleet and equipment, we talked about ballistic vest purchase. We had finance approval for that for 6 vests. Our vehicle maintenance bid is up for renew. Under training, Detectives Daly and Munger attended child forensic interview training at Child Advocacy Center on December 12th. For citizen correspondence, for ongoing, we had Banker Ave and North Ravine Road. There's some old signage there that needs to be cleaned up, so we're going to be working on that. On Onondaga Road and Troy Schenectady Road, there was parking on Onondaga Road, and it was limiting the vision and the line of sight onto Route 7. So it was a safety issue that some residents brought to us, and our town planner feels that about 200 feet of no parking would make it a safer area. And then Supervisor Cassidy Dorian talked about residents reaching out. Sorry, in Iroquois Village, there were 2 large trucks that were parked overnight. People were having difficulty navigating around those trucks at night. And also, we were looking at maybe having some speed limit signs in their driveways, and Chief is contacting their management group regarding that. We have Coffee with the Cop at the Senior Center, the 3rd Tuesday monthly, and we also will be having Coffee with the Cop at Target again on the 19th from 12 to 2. Fire District 1 hosted our 2024 holiday parade with Santa on December 15th. The police department supported the parade, led the way, helped with the safety on the roads. We were very thankful to the Community Foundation for their donation of hot cocoa, the co-op for hot cocoa and cookies, the boys JV team for serving, and our high school jazz club for playing, and Jean Fody from community programming to help organize it from the town hall end of things. It was a huge event, and it was very successful in providing the district social workers with gift cards and toys and gifts for our students in need this holiday season. So thank you to everyone for working together on that. It was a lot of fun. The Grinch showed up too, which was unexpected, but it all worked out. Someone named Kevin.
Was it you? I couldn't figure out what it was. Yeah.
Mystery.
Like,
You never know.
all right. Thank you very much on that. Just as, or
I have a lot more, but
well, have at it.
I can stop. Okay. It's just like a cane. For town clerk, we're still working on our peddling and solicitation registry. We're looking to maybe have it on our committee agenda for January, and then the next step would be a public hearing. For court and town attorney, there were no new dog bite cases reported, and the bus patrol hearings are ongoing for Attorney Finnan. For a school district, we're focusing on Rosendale Road because that's 2 campuses with entrances and exits onto Rosendale Road. We're looking to do a school speed zone there. The county is in support of this, and our supervisor is coordinating with the county to make all that work out for safety on that road. For personnel, we have Sergeant Relations retirement, which we're very excited for him, but very sad for us. Chief Koshin talked about how he had a hand in over 2,000 cases for our department. He's worked all the shifts. Most recently, he's been our community engagement officer. He spearheaded our Cops and Kids reading program in the school district, expanded our Coffee with the Cop program, and had a pivotal role in our bus patrol program. We just talked about how he has a community-first attitude, genuinely loves our town, and just wanted to thank him for everything he's done for our town and our neighbors, and wish him the best. Hopefully we'll see him around town. I know some kids are going to be looking for him. They'll miss him in the schools. We also have the promotion of a sergeant, which we just got to swear in to Detective Kafaga, Sergeant Kafaga. We have our Town of Niskayuna event application. We're looking to adjust the town code for when people want to close roads for street parties, Brentwood.
various reasons.
Various reasons. So we're looking to maybe utilize the system we already have that reserves like parks to let people just reserve online. And then that way it could go through the attorney and the police department, make sure that everything's in line. We have tuition reimbursement on for tonight for Officer Breslin as he keeps working towards his mental health counselor degree. So tonight we have 4 resolutions. We have 1 resolution to renew our SPCA contract. We have a resolution to appoint a police sergeant. We have a resolution to amend our bus patrol master agreement to extend another year and then renew for 5 years after that. The school district is in agreement with this, and we can opt out at any time. And our 4th resolution is to accept a donation of $500 from Hudson Valley Credit Union in Mansion Square. And our next meeting will be January 2nd at 3:30.
Fantastic. So just to sort of add to that, we're all really sad to see Sergeant Relation go, but I'm sure he's going to be having a lot more fun, let's be honest. So congratulations on his retirement. And also I wanted to say that the combination of community programs and the police department, fire department, working on that parade, my kids had an absolutely fantastic time. They were some of the ones that got photographed and put in the Gazette, and they absolutely loved that. And I just thought it was a fantastic way to kind of have another moment to bring the community together. So I'm like very, very much thankful for everybody's work on that. And with that, we can move over to community programs.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Highway Parks Recreation Committee, we met on December 5th. I'll try to be brief. Okay. So personnel-wise in the Highway Department and grounds, we are in Parks, we're still looking for 3 grounds workers. Still looking for people. We're still shorthanded. We continue that search, and if anyone is interested, please apply here or online with us. Our crews were working out in the parks until it snowed. Yard waste pickup. So officially, the yard waste pickup is over. That's the official announcement because we usually end that when it snows and we've had a heavy snowfall. But since we did get a substantial thaw of all that snow, crews have been out trying to do their best to get what remaining loose leaves are out there to pick up. Cannot guarantee that we're going to get to all of them, but we're making an effort to do that. And this is basically our highway superintendent and our crews going above and beyond to try to get up the leaves because of the early snowfall. So we're going to continue to do the best we can with that, but we've got some very cold weather coming. And then when that happens with the rain, as you know, that we've had, everything freezes up and that will be the end of it. So we're going to do the best that we can. No guarantees. All right. So that's sort of what's going on in the highway department. I know some people always Monday morning quarterback, if you will, when to plow the snow, when to salt the roads. And our highway superintendent's been doing this for a very long time, knows what he's doing, get the roads cleaned up. And they have an expression that we don't chase snowflakes. So when it snows, we don't go out and chase the snowflakes. We know how to plow the roads and we'll get them cleared and ready. Most of the time it's focused on the morning commutes or the commutes home for people. So that's how we take care of the roads here. Recreation and our community programs. As we talked about, many things going on in community programs, always holiday parades. We participated in the Schenectady Parade, put a float in that. That's the first time that the town has participated in that. It was a great job by the community programs department for their Candyland display in the parade. We do Toys for Tots collection here. We're one of the very big places where we get a lot of contributions for Toys R Tots. We also have things of my very own wish tags in the lobby here. And we're one of, I think, only 2 sites that offer online giving for things of my very own. So we're very supportive of that. And the outreach has been tremendous. Over 1,000 families will be helped by this program. So again, thank you for the community programs for participating in that. We had our annual tree lighting ceremony here at Town Hall. That was last Friday, and we have the choir and the kids from the high school come and sing. We had the biggest turnout ever for that event this year. It was a little cold, but there was snow on the ground, and it was a wonderful event. We get hot chocolate that's donated by the Niskayuna Community Foundation, and it's a great, great event for building community here. The kids come and they sing lots of different songs for the holiday season. Wonderful event. Thank you all for participating in that. We also did a parents' night out in community programs. They run a little movie here. Lets the parents drop off their kids to give them a night out to do some shopping. Again, another very successful event. We discussed at our meeting the ski club. So the town runs a bus up to West Mountain. We have a ski program there. So that runs from January 10th through February 15th. At our senior center, we had the holiday meal down there last week. That was very, very well attended. Again, we have high schoolers and some middle schoolers that come down and put on a little concert, if you will, for the seniors down there. They also bring gifts for the seniors, and then they interact with the seniors at our center, and they sing carols together. Another great event sponsored by the town. And in order to be brief, that's about it. Our next meeting will be January 2nd. I just want to wish everybody a happy, safe, and joyous holiday season. Please be safe out there. And during this holiday season, got a little idea for some gifts here. Doesn't cost anything. The gift of respect and kindness. If you bestow that on anyone, I am sure they will be grateful for that gift that you give them during the holiday season. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you so much. I also want to echo a huge thanks to Ray's team for coming out on Thanksgiving Day in the early part of the day and the later part of the day to clean up. It was maybe the worst day to start our snow season, but they did a great job. I got a great explanation of how things work as far as making sure that things are sanded and salted. And it wasn't an easy day to predict because I think much of us, like myself, thought it was going to be rain. And I was pretty surprised when we woke up to so much snow and it just kept going. So thank you very much, Ray, to you and your team. We'll move on to Public Works. Or actually, I can't even say Public Works. It is Water and Sewer and Engineering. How about that?
Either one.
Either one.
Despite our lengthy committee meeting this month, I'm going to keep my comments tonight very brief. But there were a couple of items that we discussed in committee that I just wanted to draw some attention to. The first item is the Knott Street pavement repair project. That's the site of a large water main break that occurred earlier this year in front of Co-op. Paving there has been completed. The work was done there on November 20th. I was there around 7:15, 7:30 that morning, and work had already started. And we expected the work to take most of the day. I think we were sort of preparing for afternoon and evening rush hour commute difficulties. But I spoke to Superintendent of Water and Sewer Matt Yetto around noontime, and the road had already been reopened at that time. So a great job to all of the crews who were there and who got the work done so quickly. Temporary markings have been painted on the roadway there, lines and arrows for the lanes, and permanent epoxy markings will be applied in the spring. We've also had some trouble with the traffic signal there. The timing seems to be off a little bit, but DOT is working on that and adjusting the timing as needed. Regarding our organic waste program down at the wastewater treatment plant, our Way Acceptance Pilot Program has completed. We sent data to the lab for results and then to DEC for their approval. We are awaiting responses from DEC, but I just received word today that we have gotten some very positive feedback. So that's great news, and we expect to have the official word from them by the end of the year. An update on utility billing. The supervisor and I tonight are co-sponsoring a resolution to retain a company called Raftellus. Raftellus is a consulting firm, and they specialize in local governments and utility management. and we will be retaining them or voting to retain them to do a study on our water and sewer rates and our water and sewer infrastructure. And the supervisor and I co-sponsoring this is a direct result of hearing your concerns, our residents' concerns about the changes in our utility billing and our utility rates. And so we look forward to working with Reftelis to hopefully come to a solution that works for all of us. Superintendent of Water and Sewer Matt Yetto asked me to mention tonight that there are a couple of openings in the Water and Sewer Department. He is looking for crew members on the water and sewer maintenance crew, as well as a senior civil engineer. And information on those jobs can be found on the town website by going to the About Niskuna tab and clicking on Jobs and Employment. And our next meeting will be on Thursday, January 2nd at 4:30 in the afternoon in the Schaefer Room. And I also wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday Season. Thank you, Supervisor.
Oh, I should turn this on. All right, thank you very much, Councilmember Moskowitz. We'll move on to the longest committee name ever, Economic Development, Historic Preservation, and Environmental Conservation Committee.
Thank you and good evening. We met, the Economic Development Environmental Conservation Committee met December 6th at 8:30 right here in the town hall. And I guess the main thing that's going on or that will be going on is a project at Niskayuna Harbor, which is going to link up with Mohawk Harbor and with Rivers Ledge. And it's going to further our comprehensive plan and improvements on our waterfront. And while doing that, I did want to call attention to a good article by our local reporter, Ted Remsnyder. I think it was last week on Niskayuna's very own GE, Verona, and Aerospace. He noted that they secured $2.3 million in federal funding. And again, this is a good example of how working together really does work. What's going on in Niskayuna and in Schenectady County in general isn't anything that happens overnight. It's a result of town leaders working with county leaders working with state leaders, town leaders working with state leaders working with federal leaders. The growth and development in this region has been a work in progress for at least 20 years now. A case in point, the town working in the county together has been our Co-op Plaza at our town center here. That took a great deal of intergovernmental work between the county and the town and Metroplex to get the various funding needed for that and to get the road improvements needed for that. Union Street here in the town of Niskayuna. The town leaders have worked with the city of Schenectady because we abut the city of Schenectady, and that's almost like our little downtown Niskayuna. So working with the city of Schenectady and the extension of Union Street into the town of Niskayuna really helps the town a great deal, just like it helps the city of Schenectady. Working together works. County and state working together to secure improvements to our parks and roads. We have a wonderful representative in the New York State Assembly, in Phil Steck, and our town leaders have worked with him to get an astronomical amount of funding for our parks and for our roads, bike paths. The case in point is the two roundabouts that we currently have in the town. One of them, they both ease traffic and calm traffic quite a bit. One of them was done in conjunction with Aqueduct Park. That Aqueduct Park making that waterfront much more accessible and user-friendly. Docks, a lot of improvements to the docks there, the boathouse. We now have bathrooms. That's all in conjunction with the surrounding bike path. And those improvements lead directly into the Mohawk Harbor and to access of the waterfront. State working with federal government, back to that great article by our local reporter, $2.3 million in federal funding for GE's very own Vernova and Aerospace. And again, that was really an economic savior because that was a company that wanted to leave the town of Niskayuna, and we did not have anybody to fill that. We did get somebody to fill that because the town of Niskayuna is a desirable place to be. If it wasn't, it would have been very difficult to have those good jobs stay here in the town of Niskayuna and help our school system and all of our local businesses here. So again, working together works, and I want to commend our town leaders, our county leaders, and our state leaders all together over the past year. I think have done a very good job and having smart, reasonable growth here in Schenectady County and the town of Niskayuna. And that being said, my committee meets again in January, the first Friday of January. Not sure what that is off the top of my head. All are welcome and encouraged, and hopefully you all have a happy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. All right, I'm going to be brief for a couple of reasons. One, because I talk too much typically during these meetings, and secondly, because we have a whole lot of resolutions to get through, and it's been a short month with very little time in between and a whole lot of year-end things. But there's a lot going on here, so I feel like I want to give some context for some of the things in here that might be helpful. So the first thing is the yard waste code, which I actually anticipated at least one or two people coming out to have some questions or comments. Really, and I said this last week at the agenda meeting, the code changes are giving us the ability to change, sort of superficial things about the code without having to change the actual code. So for example, if we want to experiment with the number of bags or barrels or the timing of zones, things like that, we can do without changing the code. The other thing it does is it defines what residential yard waste is. We didn't do that prior to this code change because it wasn't an issue. It's recently become an issue, and so we want to make sure that we are being very specific about the type of yard waste that we are willing to pick up because it's expensive, and we don't want folks taking advantage of that for commercial reasons. We also made a change to the violation amount if in fact somebody does violate that. So those are the major changes. We're probably going to have a few more things to put out there, but they will be trial run changes that we will see what works and what doesn't work, and we'll get public feedback. But for now, we're sort of just making it a little bit easier to experiment with things that might help us save costs and still provide the same amount of service to our residents. The other thing, and I'm sort of following up on Councilmember Moskowitz's comments on our outside consultants. I'm really excited for this because it took me a long time to find the right fit for the particular issues that we were having in Niskayuna. And one of the major problems, and this I think is a problem with a lot of municipalities, is that we have an ever-changing slate of town board members, and we have, in this case, some shifts in the comptroller's office and also the supervisor's office, and that doesn't lend well to long-term planning. But we have infrastructure that is really in need of long-term planning, and not necessarily somebody that wears a hat that they can focus on that full time. And it really needs a lot of attention. If you were one of the folks that was impacted by the 2 water main breaks from the last few weeks, you know what I'm talking about. Those are water main breaks that will likely happen again. The one on Rosendale keeps happening. Well, we keep putting Band-Aids on it because we do not have the funding to replace the infrastructure that we need to. And so we really need a bigger picture about what kinds of things need to be done immediately and what kinds of things that we don't want to push off, but we have to push off, but we're planning for them in the future. So this company is not only coming in to say, hey, here's what I think the rates should be and this is what's fair. They're going to take an overall picture of our infrastructure and help us with some long-term planning with the assistance of an advisory group that I'm really excited to bring in. And we're going to have a lot of conversation back and forth about what makes sense for our community. And it won't be just us making those decisions. We're hopefully going to have some folks in an advisory group that are representative of the broader community. So I'm very much looking forward not only to them evaluating some of the work that's already been done on the rate design, but to give us a bigger picture about what lies ahead, because we can't keep doing Band-Aids. We have to plan for the future. We already know that we have infrastructure that should have been replaced a long time ago, and we don't have the funding to do it. We will be in better shape if we have a picture of that to go get grants, to get funding, and maybe set aside some reserves that put us in a better position for fixing things that need to be fixed immediately. So the rates and the evaluation of the rates is one benefit, but we can't even get to that until we do a big picture look at what our infrastructure looks like. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to working with the advisory group, and we hope to kind of jump right into that in January. So excited about that. The other things that we'll be doing in January, just to follow up on that, I've had a lot of really fantastic meetings with residents. A lot of them have been very vocal in these meetings. It was really helpful to sit down with them and to have more of a back and forth, because this is not the venue for back and forth. And I feel like we hear that a lot, like, hey, I really wish you would respond. That's not really what this meeting is necessarily for. This is the business of the town. The reason why I say that is we have sort of a 3-step process that I think is not necessarily super transparent to the rest of you. We start with committees at the first week of the month. So any issue that you have is going to start in that committee meeting. And there's a lot of very informal conversation about what's going on. You're welcome not only to visit those meetings, but if you don't have time, you can email me, you can email anybody in town hall, really. And that message will get to us so that we can discuss what's going on in that committee meeting. So that's a good way to start that back and forth. Then the second week of every month, we have an agenda meeting. The agenda meeting's purpose is to have slightly informal conversation about what's going to be in this meeting. The reason why I say that is there's a 2-week time period, typically, this is a condensed month, but there's a 2-week time period in between the agenda meeting and this meeting where you have a whole lot of time to come in and chat with us, send emails, call me on the phone, and we can talk about things that you're feeling anxious about or that you want us to hear about. And it makes a whole lot more sense for us to have a back and forth then, or for one of our board members or for one of our department heads to have a back and forth then, than it does for you to feel frustrated in this meeting where I'm not going to be able to have a back and forth with you. So we do have some formal ways for you to come and have a back and forth. And we have lots of informal ways because we're here all the time. Please come and chat with us. But this meeting, I know I constantly hear that feedback, and it's just not the purpose of the meeting. This is sort of the finality of things we've already discussed. So I welcome your comments and I want you to come and give us your opinions, but we're not going to do the back and forth during these meetings. And I'm not sure that it's widely known that we follow that approach. So I'm going to keep communicating that as we move into the next year so that more and more residents understand the different channels that they have for conversation and feedback. Part of those conversations with the residents that have come in to talk with me, lots of really great suggestions about ways that not only we can improve communication, but just ideas about moving forward, some things that they would like to see. And we talk a lot about goals for the next year, maybe 2 years, 5 years, but you don't necessarily share those with everybody right off the bat. And one of the suggestions was, hey, we would understand more about the direction that you're going into and why you're making decisions if we understand more about what departments are planning for the year and what goals that they have. So I would like to be a little bit better about our departments sharing those goals with you so that you understand why we're taking the positions or taking the direction that we do throughout the year. And it was a great suggestion. And there were a lot of great suggestions. That's the one that's standing out in my mind. But I encourage you to come and talk with me in a place that I can have a back and forth with you. I don't want you to feel frustrated. And I would feel frustrated if I didn't understand that there were other places to come and have those talks. So that being said, we really want to try to keep this as a concise type of meeting. I know I'm not really approaching that as I keep talking and talking, but that's the reason that we have the buzzer, because you don't always know that you're talking for a really long time. We're not trying to kick you out. We're just trying to keep things in a very orderly fashion. So we're going to use the buzzer tonight, and we are going to cut off public comment, and it will not be because we don't want to hear what you have to say. It's because we really just need to keep to the business of the town. So I say that, and my last comments, before we move into privilege of the floor, there was an article today in the Gazette that I think caused a lot of feelings. And I want to be very clear that there is no resolution in this packet that addresses the town logo. The next steps that I'm proposing, because I think as a board, we were relatively split on where to move forward. I think I found myself in a position where I was the deciding person, and I really wasn't ready to move forward for two reasons. One, the resolution wasn't ready, condensed month, didn't have enough language in it for us to even put it out there for the public. But then also we got a lot of feedback of people that felt like the logo was problematic. Doesn't mean that the committee did anything wrong, doesn't mean that the research isn't valid and important and rich in details. It just means that maybe we take one step back in their process and take a look at a few more options. And that's what I'm proposing that we do with the logo moving forward, is to take a look at a few more options and to try to get that out to the broader public. I think what we mentioned by way of the yard waste bills, we can put, a survey in there with lots of details about the reasoning behind the committee's choices, right? There was a reason they went with this final one. It would be helpful for all of us to understand why they did that. We'll provide the options, we'll provide their comments, we'll provide any information that we think is relevant to your decision-making, and also give you the opportunity to give us feedback at this final phase. So I say that, and I'm going to move into public comment, and hopefully we will just stick to our 3 minutes, please. And call me tomorrow if you don't get to say everything you want to. Okay, so we'll start public comment.
Mike?
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike. You can say hello back. Once again, I'm here about the excessive speeding on Console Road.
Can you just state your full name for the,
Mike,
okay.
I've gotten threats because of things I have done. Once again, I'm here to my concerns on speeding on Console Road. I have a letter here. Town Board, please do something about the excessive speeding on Console Road between 3450 Console Road and Buckingham and Console. This makes my 4th request. Please report in writing to Mike and Diana Klett, 3554 Console Road. This is my 4th. There were 3 prior I've given to the town with no response. And for the Miss Lawyer lady, I'll tell you one thing. If I had your schedule, I'd be going nuts. 25 cases in one day. That is amazing. I remember when, never mind. But I want to once again ask that apparently there's some lack of, on my part, to try and understand why what's going on is going on. I don't see it to be a big problem, but apparently it is. And with that said, if people here are dissatisfied with speeding in town of Niskayuna, don't be afraid to say something. Be proud and say it loud. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. No, I wish I was.
I thought I saw you there. Excuse me. I wanted to also say thank you to Ted. He did not to the Gazette. He did a fantastic job on listening to me.
Thank you, Mike.
Good evening, everyone. Joseph Yekel, 914 Vroman Ave. Had just a few things I wanted to touch on. First, happy holidays to everybody, too, in case I forget at the end. Happy to hear, Supervisor, that you're going to give some more time thought on the logo. And Jessica, I appreciated the comments that I saw you make in the paper about that, because I think we need more time. I won't dwell on it too long, but just for perspective, we've had this logo for 50 years, and I know that there's some technical issues with the logo between the TP and the Longhouse, for example. But there's no doubt in anybody's mind when they looked at the logo that it referenced Native America and Native Americans in our community, and of course the name is very unique. So I almost feel like we overworked this issue about the town logo, and I think we could make some minor modifications to it without having to go through a complete redesign, because as far as I know, there really hasn't been any controversy over the logo itself for the last 50 years, other than that the former historian brought some technical discrepancies up with it. So I think if we relooked at it, maybe we don't need to go through all the gyrations of coming up with 40 or 50 designs and maybe make some minor modifications, and it would be very similar to what we had. So that's what I wanted to mention about that. The second thing is the transfer station. I just wanted to throw an idea past the board. Annually, the town takes in about somewhere around $370,000 on the franchise fees that we get through Charter Communications. That's 5% gross receipts for everyone that's paying a franchise fee in the town. That money goes into the general fund and it's used for various things. But because we're talking about $20,000 annually for the transfer fund and all the transfer station, I really don't use that much myself. I know people do. If we earmarked, say, $25,000 that's coming in annually from the franchise fees, because that's coming in from residents, it's a pass-through, right, from the residents' bill, and earmark that for the transfer station, at least maybe for a year, and then come up with some ideas possibly to get more subscriptions. So I'm just floating that as an idea because it may be something that could be a stopgap. The third thing is I didn't get to go to the water sewer meeting this past one, but I watched it in its entirety, and I sent you supervisors some comments shortly thereafter with some possible changes to the code with respect to the refunds, rebates. I can't tell that there's anything that precludes it. I worked at the Department of Public Service for 30 years. I'm not aware that there is anything that precludes the town from making those code adjustments. And I sent you some examples from some other municipalities in New York State and outside of New York State. I think that's doable. And so I hope that you look at that as a potential option. And lastly, I just want to say the things for my very own sponsorship like that. I'm happy that's available. My wife and I grabbed one of the gift items and we're happy to participate. Happy holidays.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yeakel. Oh, that's it. We're done with the list of signups. So if anybody else has comments, they can come up now. Good. I don't want to close it too soon. Are you guys good? Okay. All right, then we will close public and we will move on to our list of resolutions. We'll start with 2024-272, sponsored by Councilmember Brennan.
A resolution accepting a donation for the town's police department.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Just once again, that's the Hudson Valley Credit Union donation of $500.
Fantastic. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion passes. And we'll go to 2024-273, sponsored by Councilmember Brennan. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing a renewal agreement with Susquehanna SPCA for dog sheltering services.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm just going to say this is a backup plan to our backup plan. So this PCA is about 2.5 hours away, but it's just another safety net if we need somewhere to safely put someone's pet.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The motion passes. And on to 2024-274, sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
A resolution authorizing certain budgetary modifications and inter-fund transfers.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll just mention this is sort of year end, trying to just clean up all the little things. If anybody has any questions about any of it, please reach out. Any other discussion? All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the motion passes. On to 2024-275, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing professional service contract for the water and sewer rate study.
So the resolution states that it's also sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian. It just wasn't on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
This is the resolution that both the supervisor and I mentioned during our reports to retain Ref Telus for a study of our water and sewer rates and utility billing as well as our infrastructure. And I'm looking forward to working with the supervisor and Ref Telus and the advisory group on this study. I think it's extremely important to not only our future, but also that of our residents. And again, a direct result of listening to feedback from our residents, and we're looking forward to the results of this. Thank you, Supervisor, for your hard work on putting this together.
Thank you. I'm excited for this. Some good news in water and sewer. Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The motion passes. And we move on to 2024-276, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the
You re-
clerk please read? Sorry.
A resolution enacting local law number 2 of 2024 to amend Chapter 69 of the Code of the Town of Niskuna entitled Brush, Grass, and Weeds.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you. As you had spoken to earlier, this is to make some changes to our grass, brush, and weeds pickup in the town. This gives us an opportunity to only pick up residential waste. It's been brought to our attention that the pickup of some of the yard waste has been abused, and we've had no mechanism to deal with that. So this is going to allow us to deal with some problems we already know that we have, and then hopefully in the future, if we need to make some changes, as you said, we can do that easily without having to enact another local law.
Any further discussion? All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The motion passes. We're going to skip 277 as we did that earlier in the agenda and move on to 2024-278, sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
A resolution permanently appointing a real property clerk in the town assessor's office.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
This is an existing position. This is a permanent appointment, meaning she's been working in the office and now she has completed her probationary period. Any further discussion? All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The motion passes. We move on to 2024-279, sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute a memorandum of agreement with the CSCA White Collar Bargaining Unit regarding the addition of a senior accountant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Just as this is a way of us reformatting our comptroller's office as we have gone through some transition. We have an absolutely fantastic accountant that deserves probably even more than we could afford. Don't go anywhere, Frank. And this is an agreement that we're making with one of our bargaining units to make sure that he's in the right position. Any further discussion?
No, I fully am supportive of this. This particular individual really stepped up when we did not have a controller here at the town. As you know, we had a period of time when we did not have one. And the individual who this resolution is for really stepped up and is a great asset to the town of Niskuna. So I want to thank him for the excellent job he's done and continues to do.
Yes, thank you. I don't think anybody in this town will ever know how much work you did behind the scenes, and you really saved me during budget season, which means saved us all. So thank you very much. Any further discussion?
If I could just support what you two are saying, I worked with Frank as well, and he is great and responsive, and that's very important. So I just wanted to give another shout out and, grace where grace is due. So thank you.
Yes, we hope he stays with us for a very long time. Okay, so we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the motion passes. And we'll go on to 280, sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
A resolution appointing a senior accountant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
This is just a follow-up to the MOA that we just passed in the last one. This is just a procedural next step. Any further discussion?
Again, well-deserved. And I think this is the second employee tonight we're recognizing who's gone way above and beyond. So thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The motion passes. And on to 2024-281, sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
A resolution appointing a park supervisor.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'll just say, the reason why we're adding this to a department that hadn't already had this is we're seeing a changing landscape, especially over the last few years where we've obtained a whole lot of parkland, and the burden to our highway department and in the parks area has really grown substantially. And we really need somebody who has expertise in maintaining fields, maintaining parks, and not necessarily, although I'm sure he could do this too, putting paving patches in and picking up yard waste, cleaning out. We want him sort of focused on the parks that our community uses very often. So this is a promotion in my eyes because I'm very excited for him to be the park supervisor, but it is a budget neutral resolution. Any further discussion?
No, I just want to thank this individual who's been basically doing this job.
Yeah.
And now we're sort of getting the job titles equal to the duties that the individual employee's been doing.
Yes, he's fantastic.
Yes, he is.
All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the motion passes. We'll move on to 2024-282, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz.
A resolution authorizing the disposition of certain town-owned surplus vehicles.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? This is sort of a boring one. All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the motion passes. On to 2024-283, sponsored by Councilmember Delarada.
A resolution awarding a contract for assistance with the preparation of the town's 2025 comprehensive plan.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just briefly, Supervisor, as everyone knows, this is a very important document. The comprehensive plan will drive the plan for the next 10 years for the town of Niskayuna. So we have decided for this go-round to look into getting a planning consultant because of the importance to guide the town's decision over the next 10 years. I think we did a phenomenal job of following the last comprehensive plan, which was just taking effect when I became a councilman. And I think we really did improve our parks and our waterfront, as well as the interconnections of our neighborhoods. And that was all pursuant to the last comprehensive plan. So I think this resolution will go a long way in making sure we have a very thorough and complete document for the next 10 years.
I second that. I've been a part of the comprehensive plan discussions, and it's a big project. It's a heavy lift. I wish that I had more money in our budget to give them, but they have been very gracious about my big fat cut of their budget, and they were able to find somebody that they could award a contract to help get them moving and get this out for 2025. Really important project. So thank you for making it work with the budget that we have. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the motion passes. And on to 2024-284, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz.
A resolution appointing a water and sewer maintenance worker 2 in the town's water and sewer department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion passes. On to 2024-285, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz.
A resolution authorizing improvements to the computer network security equipment at the Niskayuna Water Treatment Plant and the Joint Project Pump Station.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I think I somewhat recall this. This was something that we didn't necessarily have the funds to do the right thing in the first place, so we've sort of fudged our way through it, and now it's come to the point where it needs to be fixed completely. So this is money well spent, making sure all of those things are buttoned up. Any further discussion? All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion passes. On to 2024-286, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of a Winsmith reducer drive for repair in the secondary clarifier at the Niskayuna's wastewater treatment plant.
Whew, that was a mouthful. Second?
The second.
Any discussion on this? Really interesting resolution. No? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The motion passes. On to 2024-287, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of a pump for the Fox Hill Pump Station.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Oh, the clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin. Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The motion passes. 2024-288, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of replacement valves for the Imperial Drive Pump Station.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The motion passes. On to 2024-289, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz.
A resolution authorizing the repair of pumps at the Niskayuna wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just briefly, we just went through about 3 or 4 resolutions that deal with wastewater and infrastructure. And I just wanted to go back to our resolution for the water and sewer rate study. I think is going to be a big help in getting a handle on our infrastructure and our long-term needs, as well as align up funding for that. For example, I know we have issues with our water tower, and we already have something in the books for that. So I didn't get a chance to say that, but good job on that water and sewer rate study. That's going to pay dividends a great deal.
I think so too, for a long time. Yeah, you'll notice there's a whole lot in here, and it's sort of all chasing
And it's reactive.
Band-Aids.
You
Yeah.
alluded to that previously. We do a lot of reactive, and I think this rate water and study will allow us to plan ahead and hopefully head some of this off at the pass.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up too.
Well,
it was sort of-
we do a lot of reactive, but also Matt Yetto and that department, they do planning though. We've put in water mains and we put in connected water mains, knowing that we have a certain section of town. If we're doing some work, we can make it better by putting in some other pipes. And then-
Meters and safety that measure the water meters. Yes, absolutely.
Right, and some of these resolutions are, as Matt discussed in the agenda meeting, are repairing some parts and buying some parts, so we have parts on the shelf ready, because we know that these are, although they're expensive, $10,000-$15,000, sometimes you need to have it on the shelf, because if it breaks down. So they do prior planning and trying to have the parts and equipment that they need to keep the system running.
Yes,
'Cause when
absolutely.
the residents want to turn on the faucet, they want the water to come out.
Go figure.
Yeah, imagine that.
It's weird. Yes, thank you for pointing that out. I don't mean to sound like Matt isn't doing any planning. It's just that we don't necessarily have funding attached to it because we don't have any money. So we need to kind of lay that out so that we know what we're saving toward, because it's a lot and it's going to help us get organized, but Matt does a great job. And actually, before he left, the deputy superintendent did a whole lot of work sort of mapping out some of our infrastructure. So that's going to help us get a head start on the project and will cost a little bit less money because they won't have to do work that's already been done by Dan. We miss Dan. So thank you for bringing that up. All right, any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the motion passes, and I can't remember which one we were on. Was that
So,
288?
290.
They
We're
all
on
look the
290.
same. Okay, so we're on 290, 2024-290, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz.
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into an easement agreement with the owners at 850 Huntington Drive.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion passes on to 2024-291, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz.
A resolution awarding a contract for the inspection and evaluation of a sludge dryer at the town's wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the sludge dryer? So it turns out a sludge dryer actually dries out like the stuff we need to get rid of from the wastewater treatment plant. And if our dryer is broken, the stuff we get rid of is heavier and it costs us more money. So we really need to fix the sludge dryer. I know everyone was really waiting for an explanation on that, so you're welcome. Any further discussion?
Topic of conversation of our committee meeting.
Lots of sludge talk, you know? Oh, good. All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
The motion passes under 2024-292, sponsored by Councilmember Delarada and Councilmember Brennan.
A resolution calling for a public hearing on a new proposed amendments to Chapter 220 entitled Zoning of the Town Code of Town Niskuna.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this?
This is a resolution for us to open up a public hearing. So as a board, we could look more closely at the recommendations from the planning board on short-term rentals and make sure that we are all aligned with enforcement and legalities and how restrictive we are.
Is there going to be a motion to amend?
Which one?
I thought that there was an email that was, we were looking to amend this, but I could be wrong.
Not yet. We haven't finalized.
If you make additional changes, we'll have to have yet another public hearing.
So do we want the motion to be the amendment first and then the public hearing after?
So this is a resolution calling for a public hearing on the code as amended. If we have a public hearing and we make changes after, then we'll have to have yet a third public hearing.
So what should we
You can make a motion to amend now, or you can table it, or you can move forward with it as is.
Anyone? Make a motion to amend
Would.
with the amendments
email today?
that's circulated.
Yeah.
Motion
You
to
want me to
amend?
say what it is and then you can discuss?
That would be great.
My understanding is that there was discussion on adding back in, it was taken out that there would be a minimum 7-day rental period that was taken out in these changes. And it was my understanding that there was discussion on adding that part back in. So if it's going to be added back in, we would need a motion to amend. Or if it's not going to, we can keep it as is.
I'll make a motion to amend to add the 7-day short-term rental period back in.
Do we know where that was in this document? I think it's the minimum rental duration shall be 7 consecutive days. That's on page 8, number 2.
Yes.
So the amendment is to not have this strikeout, correct?
Correct.
I can pull that out for you.
It would read
Yep.
exactly the same as what's crossed out, right? The minimum,
Right, so I would just change it so that that would not
just
be
remove the
crossed
strike
out.
through. Yeah.
So there is a motion, we need a second.
Thank you.
Second.
So then there needs to be a roll call vote on the
On the
motion.
Okay, I'll call the roll on the amendment. Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
I'm actually going to recuse myself from this vote, and I have recused myself from the discussions as my husband and I have a personal relationship with someone who happens to own a short-term rental company. So I felt it necessary to remove myself from the conversation.
4 ayes.
Motion passes. Move on as amended. Do we need another motion for the public hearing?
You need to have a roll call vote on the resolution
As
that's already
As
done.
amended.
As amended?
Yep.
As amended, correct.
Okay.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Recused again.
4 ayes.
I know. All right. We'll move on to 2024-293, which I think also has some discussion. It's sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the execution of a mandated service agreement for IT support.
This is the CB20 contract.
No,
Managed.
excuse me.
Okay.
I would take a motion. We had a brief conversation about potentially tabling this until next month, just so we can have a better understanding about what our needs are and the alignment of the contract with the needs that we have here. It's a sort of a tricky situation because we really haven't had a robust IT department, and we don't want to get ourselves into a
Was there a
one-year
second?
agreement. There wasn't a second. Do we need
No,
a second? 'Cause we're gonna
We need
table
a
it?
second.
Yes.
I'll
Second?
second it.
Thank you.
And then I will make a motion to table this
Table it?
resolution. I had a somewhat lengthy conversation with the supervisor this afternoon, and I've spoken to Josh, our IT director, also. And it's not that I don't see the need for this or understand the need for it. I do think it's imperative to our town that we have this added layer, this second layer of IT support. But it comes with a hefty price tag of nearly $35,000 a year. And so I think it's worth us doing our due diligence and going back to the table with CB20 to negotiate the terms of the contract and that hefty price tag, as well as maybe exploring some other options, which we've already done a little bit of. But I think it's worth looking into a potential part-time employee who would be here on site, or the possibility of an intern. And in the meantime, I think we have an extremely competent and capable, knowledgeable IT director who can get us through at least the next month or so while we
Figure it out.
look at renegotiating this. So I make a motion to table this.
So you're tabling it to only for a month, I guess, because we've had interns and they've worked out great. Then they go back to college or they, right? So it has been a little bit of a struggle. And I know that Josh, I get a little sense that he's overburdened, but this is a recommendation by him to try to buy us even some more time.
I think part of the concern is planning for some projects that Josh has to come next year. We've talked a lot about the 50 computers that are stored that need to be deployed to workstations and have our servers and software uploaded on them. We've talked at length about the server upgrades that are going to occur next year. And so he's definitely going to need some additional support for that. But I think we have a little bit of time to do our due diligence and at the very least try to renegotiate this price tag.
We talked a little bit about even have a conversation to change some of the terms so that we aren't necessarily wrapped into a one-year agreement. We talked a little bit about, we have actually explored trying to find somebody part-time. It's very difficult to find somebody part-time who can learn the ins and outs of our systems enough to provide help desk support. We're basically looking for a quick onboard, more than likely a retiree that would want to work some extra hours. So I think we're in this really weird transitional phase where we know we need to invest more in IT, and we're trying to not make a bad decision in our first step. So
We want to make sure we don't have a emergency with no backup plan either. And that's-
that is my number one
Yeah,
concern.
that's really why I think we're taking such strong consideration into this, because if something like that were to happen now, we're kind of more on the vulnerable side than we want or need to be.
Right, but that's all the more reason not to kick it down the road too
I
much
agree.
longer.
I agree. The one thing I can say is that we do have a retainer with them right now, that if something were to happen, they have pretty depth knowledge of our systems. And in the immediate future, we don't have a long time to make this decision, but we do have a bit of a buffer. And I sort of knew Jason's concerns last week when we were talking at the agenda meeting, because it is a lot of money, but I'm not sure that I have a better solution. I just experienced that as sort of my first 6 months here at Town Hall, and it was not productive. It was really a bad situation that we didn't have a backup.
I definitely agree with that,
Yeah.
that was a bad situation and that not a situation we can put the town through again. But my understanding is that this retainer will carry us at least for another few weeks or through the month.
Yeah,
Try to renegotiate a little bit.
I think if something happened, we would be okay in the next month. I just think, my thought is like, I'm not sure, well, we'll have to sit down with CB20, but I'm trying to consider like what kinds of things we could put in the agreement that might give us a little bit more options if, let's say, we're 3 to 6 months down the road and it's not working out. So maybe that's something we could even explore, if nothing else. I mean, the cost itself, we know we don't have a great budget for IT, but I think we need to start moving toward more investment in IT than kind of peeling it back. So I just want to make sure we're making the best investment. Sort of.
Well, do you think is this something you'd be able to do by the organizational meeting in January?
That's what I'm hoping for.
I mean, I don't think it's a ton of information or an excessive amount of terms of the contract that need to be renegotiated. I think it's a quick conversation with CB20 to let them know what our concerns are and see if they can work with us just as we want to work with them.
Even we have 30 help desk tickets included in that. If we're considering what Josh had said at the meeting last week, could we bring that down to 25 or 20 and even save a little bit more money on the contract? We're just trying to find the right fit, and we don't want to get locked into something for a year that isn't the right fit. So I understand that sentiment, but well, we kind of are where we are.
So I guess I'll say then I'll make my motion to table it with the understanding that regardless of the outcome, it will be readdressed at the next town board meeting.
Could we also advertise in the meantime for like retiree or?
I would love that. If anybody knows anyone, send them our way. Volunteers even. All right, so we have the motion to table. We need a second.
A second.
Clerk, please call the roll for the motion to table.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
No,
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes,
4 ayes and 1 no.
the motion passes. We look forward to readdressing this sooner rather than later, and hopefully we'll have an update from CB20 with some terms that will be a little bit more amenable to what we're looking for. We'll move on to 2024-294, sponsored by Councilmember Brennan.
A resolution authorizing a renewal agreement with Bus Patrol America LLC.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
This just helps us automatically re-enroll every year without having to do a bunch of paperwork and meetings, and we can just cancel if we want to, but this just kind of makes the process easier as we go forward.
Any further discussion? The clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes,
5 ayes.
motion passes. We'll go to 2024-295, sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian and Councilmember Moskowitz.
A resolution authorizing a memorandum of agreement with the CSEA White Collar Bargaining Unit regarding eligibility for safety shoe reimbursement.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll just mention, this is literally because our water and sewer folks are out there picking up sewer tops with their feet, and we have a lot of protections for one of our bargaining units that don't extend to them. And so we want to make sure that we get them the proper footwear so that there aren't any issues later on. That's sort of all that is. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion passes on to 2024-296, sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
A resolution adopting the salary schedule for non-represented full-time employees and electeds for 2025.
Thank you. I'm going, how do I amend this? I propose an
You gotta
amendment.
have a second.
Second.
So I'm going to propose an amendment. We went through this 3 times, but we're all very tired and it was a short turnaround. So we do have a slight typographical error under Charles Bergami. We want to amend that to grade 16, step 16 as well. I think it says something different.
Says it's 24.
Okay. Andrew Smith should have, he is the park supervisor. He should have 86,585 effective immediately upon appointment. I think that's in there, but maybe the other title is in there, correct?
So that's a different resolution.
Do we need to amend that one or it
Hold
wasn't
on,
on here?
let's stick with this one. That's a different resolution. So this is for 2025, not 2026.
Okay, so we don't really
Or
have to,
2024.
right? Do we have to amend this for the title of park supervisor?
It
Same
says park
grade.
supervisor.
yeah.
This
Oh,
is for
then it's in there.
2025.
Okay, so I had that email that we had to address it, but maybe it was already done and we weren't aware of that. So the only modification, the only amendment would be Charles Bergami and his grade and step.
Okay.
So a motion
So
to,
I'll second the motion to amend.
well, are we,
That's
okay, motion to amend, I'll say,
You made the motion. Jason's gonna second it.
Great.
So now we need a roll call vote on the amendment.
Roll call vote?
Okay. This is a roll call on the amendment. Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes,
5 ayes.
the motion passes. Do we need a second one to approve all of them?
Then you do a roll call vote on the resolution as amended.
And then a roll call vote on the resolution amended.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
All right, the motion passes. We'll go to 2024-297, sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
A resolution covering the differences in contribution costs for Aetna Health Insurance for retirees 65 and over for January 2025.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Just as a background to this, I mentioned during our budget hearings that CDPHP had given us an initial 12.5% increase, which we thought was absolutely ridiculous. The retirees for our Medicare comp plan had 105% increase. That obviously does not work. The problem in changing it really quickly is that there are some rules about when we can notify our Medicare eligible folks that have those Medicare comp plans. If we're going to make changes, we have to give them a certain period of time. We passed that period of time. Once we got our estimate, we moved them into a new, a completely different plan. We had a meeting about a couple days ago to orient them to that. But they're all, we can assume, on relatively fixed incomes, and this would have been a financial burden. It was because the broker we were working with, or the consortium we were working with, didn't give us notice quick enough, so we took that as our own mistake, and we're willing to absorb. It's a very small cost for the difference for just this month. So that's sort of the background of it. Sort of an unusual thing because a lot of these changes to Medicare are a result of the Inflation Reduction Act. And I'm not sure anybody anticipated that it was going to be such a high increase, but it was. So this is just for January 2025, and we move into a more expensive plan, but not 105% for February. Any other questions, discussion? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Motion passes. We'll move on to a similar resolution to 296, 2024-298, sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
A resolution adopting the salary schedule for non-represented part-time employees for 2025.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
So we have a slight amendment. We'll do this in 2 steps. The amendment is to remove Mike Scrabutanis as the planning board member and replace it with Suye Gomes. Thank you, Leslie. That was my error in quickly trying to get this resolution together. Mike retired and was left the board last year, and Suye was the replacement. Doesn't change anything about the amounts. So we will vote on the amendment. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Abstain.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes,
4 ayes and 1 abstention.
for the amendment, and then we'll do a roll call on the resolution as amended.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Abstain.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
4 ayes and 1 abstention.
All right, the motion passes.
Excuse me.
All right, last but not least, 2024-299, sponsored by Supervisor Cassidy Dorian and Councilmember Moskowitz. Clerk, please read.
A resolution authorizing the use of interest money from the town's repair reserve fund for certain repairs.
Thank you. Could I have a second?
Second.
Just to give some background on this, we have repair reserve funds that are there for specific purposes. We made a ton of interest on it this year. We had a whole lot of repairs, and a lot of them needed to be done quickly without the budget necessarily allowing for it. So instead of digging into the principal, we're going to use the interest, some of the interest money to make those repairs and pay them back in the next fiscal year. Any other discussion? You're going to start coughing, aren't you? Should I ask you to call the roll right now? 1, 2, 3.
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan. Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
All right, the motion passes. We're going to do a quick amendment to Resolution 2024-281. This was the resolution that needed to be amended with the amount on the park supervisor. So going back to,
Just so the record's clear, I believe Councilmember McPartlin was the second on this, so we have a second. Supervisor Cassidy Dorian's making a motion to amend to reflect the correct salary, which is supposed to be $86,585.
any questions on that? Just a
So there
typo.
needs to be a second on the.
So it's just to.
Motion
make sure
to
that it
amend it to make sure
last
this,
resolution, right?
yeah.
The salary
No,
schedule.
so the salary schedule, that's for 2025. This is reflecting what his current salary is, and it's
Okay.
not correct.
Okay.
it's like for the next week and a half. We just have to make sure
I'll
it's
second the amendment.
great. Roll call on the amendment?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
Do we need a second motion?
We don't need a second motion, but we should do another.
We'll do a roll call
vote
on the
it as amended.
resolution as amended.
As amended. Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Delarada.
Aye.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Cassidy Dorian.
Yes.
5 ayes.
All right, that passes. Thank you, Janet, in the comptroller's office for keeping me honest and making sure I'm not making too many mistakes. At this time, I'll make a motion to adjourn. A
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Happy New Year. Happy holidays, everybody.